Welcome to the Indie Film Hustle Podcast, episode number 137. All the money is in the action figures. George Lucas.
Broadcasting from the back alley in Hollywood, it's the Indie Film Hustle Podcast, where we show you how to survive and thrive as an indie filmmaker in the jungles of the film biz. And here's your host, Alex Ferrari.
Welcome to this special Sundance edition of the Indie Film Hustle Podcast. I am your humble host, Alex Ferrari. Today's show is sponsored by Distribber. If you guys are trying to get your movies or feature films or even shorts onto Netflix, Hulu, Google Play, iTunes, Fandango, or any of the major streaming services, Distribber finally lets you in without having to go through a traditional distributor. And you keep 100% of all the revenues and your rights. So if you want more information, head over to indiefilmhustle.com/sellmyfilm. That's indiefilmhustle.com/sellmyfilm. The show is also sponsored by Hollywood Camera Work. If you guys are interested in learning how to direct actors and become a actor's director, Hollywood Camera Work has developed an amazing master course called Directing Actors. And it is almost 30 hours. And I've taken this course, and it is by far the most comprehensive directing actors course I have ever seen. So if you want to get access to this course, head over to hollywoodcamerawork.com and use the coupon code HUSTLE to get 30% off. That's hollywoodcamerawork.com and use the coupon code HUSTLE. So guys, we are getting to the end of this amazing, ridiculously exhaustive run of podcasts and interviews that I did at Sundance. We have actually one more. I found one more that we have that will hopefully go up tomorrow. But today we have a really special guest. His name is Jason Michael Berman. He is the vice president of Mandalay Pictures. Yes, that Mandalay Pictures. These guys are a legendary production company making really great films that I grew up watching, and they are still making really amazing films. And Jason he's a Sundance veteran. He's been actually coming to Sundance for about 15 years. He's produced 5 films that have made it into competition at Sundance, and has also been rejected. 5 films. 5 of his films have been rejected as well. So there is no guarantee. Just because you're in the club doesn't automatically mean you're going to get in every time. So he does talk a little bit about his experience at Sundance, how it's changed over the years. And Jason also has a distinct honor of being the producer of a film that sold for the highest amount of money ever at Sundance, which was The Birth of a Nation last year, which was sold for $17.5 million. At this year's festival, he had in competition Burning Sands, a film about intensifying violence of the underground hazing of a college campus. Pretty intense, without question. He is a wealth of information, and I really had a wonderful time talking to him. My co-host Sebastian Twardosz and I grilled him a little bit about what it takes to make it in Hollywood, and his advice for young filmmakers and for filmmakers like you and me, what it takes to actually get in, make it, and make a living doing what he loves to do. And there is no doubt about it, he loves what he does. So without any further ado, here's our conversation with Jason Michael Berman. Hi, I'm Alex Ferrari.
I'm Sebastian Twardosz. Thank you for joining us. And we're here with Jason Michael Berman.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Friend
Alex.
of mine.
Sebastian, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for coming, man.
Thanks for having me.
Jason's a producer. You've had quite a few films, actually, recently at all the festivals, but particularly here at Sundance, which is where we are.
Yep.
Which is a shining like.
I will. It has been really great this year because this is my 14th or 15th consecutive Sundance. I've been coming since 2003 when I was a sophomore at USC.
I was going to say you were coming before you had movies here.
So yeah, exactly. So I don't know if that's 14 or 15 years, but it was since 2003. And I remember my first 5 to 7 years at Sundance, it just used to snow a lot. And I just remember lots of snow in Park City. And I felt like for the last 4 or 5 years, there's kind of just been a snow drought here. There hasn't been as much, and I'm also an avid skier, so I keep track of how much snow falls in different places. But it's been awesome because I think they've had close to 30 inches in the last 48 hours.
Yeah, it's insane.
Up in Deer Valley on the mountains. So this has been awesome. It definitely makes the atmosphere of the festival a lot more festive.
It's more Sundance-y.
It's more Sundance-y, exactly.
So what's your experience? I mean, you've had multiple films here.
Yeah.
Breath of a Nation, this year's Burning Sands, and then LUV. What's your experience here, like having a film at Sundance? And what was it like getting the first phone call?
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, as I said, I started coming in 2003. That was while I was in school. I graduated from USC School of Cinematic Arts in 2006. Did the assistant thing for 3 years. My first year actually coming to Sundance as like working in the industry was actually in 2007 with the William Morris Agency. At the time, I was working for Rena Ronson and Cassian Elwes. So that was
they're famous because they're famous indie agents, actually.
They really pioneered the packaging and sales kind of divisions within the agencies, and William Morris Agency, I think, was the first one to really have the largest department. So
Cassian.
Yep, exactly. So that was a lot of fun. Then went and did 2 other jobs, and then produced my first feature film in 2009, which was called The Dry Land, which I had produced with a guy by the name of Ryan Piers Williams. He was the writer director. I produced for him. I produced his thesis film at USC, and that film got into competition at Sundance in 2010.
How was it getting that call?
It was amazing. When Ryan, obviously they called the director, and then Ryan called me, and I was just blown away because literally it had been 3 long years of being an assistant, and I was thinking, should I go to law school? I was actually applying to law school at that time, and I'll never forget, he called a couple days before Thanksgiving and told me that The Dry Land got into Sundance, and I think we were some of the youngest filmmakers to have a film in competition.
Nice.
And it was amazing. So that film premiered in January 2010 here. That was my first film, and it was a competition film. And literally having that film at Sundance launched my producing career, my professional producing career. And from that point on, up until I guess 2017, I'm going to be going into production on my 21st feature film.
Nice.
And are you even 30 yet?
Huh?
Are you even 30?
I'm 34.
Oh, okay.
34.
You're older than I thought, but that's pretty...
But this is my 5th film at Sundance. So the first one was The Dry Land, which was in 2010. The second film was called Jess and Moss, which was in 2011. The third film was called Love, which was in 2012, which was actually the first film that I had ever been attached to produce before Jess and Moss and The Dry Land. And that was actually written by Sheldon Candice and Justin Wilson, who I met through USC, and directed by Sheldon. And then let's see, that was 2013. I did not have a film. My films got rejected from the festival.
Oh, they got rejected.
They got rejected. 2014, I had a film called Little Accidents. 2015. Did not. My film got rejected from the film festival.
So even after,
and 2016 was Birth of a Nation,
Which was the largest sale at Sundance at the time.
Largest sale at Sundance ever, and I think hopefully we'll hold on to that for a bit. And then 2017 here with Burning Sands. So
even though you have a hell of a track record, it's not a guarantee.
No, it's not a guarantee. And I mean, and obviously over the course of the years that you have filmed here, you get to really build relationships with people at the festival, but it's all about the quality of the work. And so I have had, I've had plenty of feature films that have been rejected from Sundance, probably 5, as many as I've had that have gotten in. And I've actually, and still to this date, I'm now I've started helping executive produce some of my friends' short films, and I've actually never gotten a short film into the Sundance Film Festival. I've had plenty of those rejected, and that goes back.
You also haven't done a documentary yet, I don't think.
And I haven't had a documentary, but I think this year I'm going to be producing my first documentary, which I'm excited about.
Very cool.
So it's been great. Yeah, I mean it's been an awesome experience having.
I have a question for you. There are a lot of filmmakers who say that they don't want to come to Sundance until they have their movie here.
God, yeah.
What do you think of that?
I totally disagree with that.
Agreed, yeah.
I will tell you that the 2013 and 2015, which were the 2 years that I had not had films here, in between having films here, were some of the most productive years. They were the years that I got to go see the most amount of films. They were the years that I got to do the most amount of networking with different filmmakers, meet a lot more of the Sundance Labs filmmakers that had just come out of the screenwriting labs. And so they were actually some of the most productive years. And then the years that I came to Sundance prior to 2010, when I was just coming here, as either a student or as an assistant working in the industry, it was also extremely valuable because it actually really built up my passion and love for independent film.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor. And now back to the show.
And I got to just continue to meet a lot of different people and see how just kind of see how the festival worked and learn the landscape of Sundance. And so I think that coming to Sundance, either without having a film before your first film here, or after you get films in, but then maybe a year you don't get a film in, it is unbelievably valuable, in my opinion, to come back.
Because you have the time to do stuff.
You have the time to do stuff, yeah.
And when you have a film,
when you have a film, you're focusing on dealing with your actors, with your filmmakers, with logistics,
doing interviews,
different press things, interviews. So it's definitely, you don't have as much time to see movies. And I literally have not missed Sundance for 1 year since 2003. So
you've seen it grow.
I think that says something. Yeah, I've seen it change. And I know that even people that came here in the early 90s, it was a huge difference in 2003 from the early 90s.
Right.
But yeah, it's obviously definitely changed since 2003.
Now, what was it that got you started? Like, why did you want to jump into the crazy business of filmmaking?
I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland.
A mecca for film, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously the home of Barry Levinson and John Waters.
You never know; they might get some tax credits.
Yeah, exactly. We did. I've shot a couple movies in Baltimore, and sometimes they have, they depending on how many TV series are shooting there, they do have tax benefits for independent films. But I grew up, I think a lot of it actually kind of stems back to the fact that I grew up dyslexic. And so I had a hard time learning to read and write when I was young. And I resorted to watching movies because that was, a form of escapism, but it was also a really great way to learn. And that then translated itself into wanting to be, an actor. So I did a lot of acting between the ages of 7 and 13. And then by the time I was, 13, I started getting a lot more fascinated by what was happening behind a camera. And so I started utilizing my mom's video camera a lot. Mm-hmm. And then instead of directing my friends in little stage plays or myself, I started, directing things that were, filmed on video. And that was where my passion for film and video started. And then I went to a great school that was solely for dyslexics in Baltimore called the Gemesee School. They allowed me at a very young age to start a video program there, and we got Sony Corporation of America to donate equipment to the school. And so we started a video club, and then that led to when I went to the Friends School of Baltimore, which is a really great high school in Baltimore. We started a film and video program there. And then I knew by 10th grade I wanted to either go to USC or NYU. Mm-hmm. And I got into USC and went to USC. And so when I got into school, I did not realize that everything that I had been doing in high school and middle school, I thought it was directing. Mm-hmm. But what I really realized when I got into film school what I had actually been doing was producing. I was organizing. That was where my talent was in. It was putting things together, pushing projects forward, finding talented people to collaborate with. And literally by the end of my first semester freshman year at USC, I knew that I was a producer, that I wasn't the writer-director that I thought I was going into the program. And so I spent the next 3.5 years after that first semester freshman year, literally producing undergrad and graduate level thesis films as an undergrad student.
And right when you got out, you actually started a company called Film Forward, right?
Film Forward, yeah. So me and my colleague Mike Jensen, who I went to school with, started an initiative, which was also a company called Film Forward, which had a relationship with the film school, and it was meant to help launch, filmmakers and their first feature independent films under $1 million when they graduated. And it was a little ambitious for us at the time, I think. And it was also, we were raising the money when the whole stock market collapsed. It was 2007, 2008. But the one movie that did come out of Film Forward was the third film I had at Sundance, which was Love.
Nice.
And that was a Film Forward.
Well, there's two things on that I actually wanted to mention. One, you're super entrepreneurial. I mean, that's a huge thing. Mm-hmm. I think
most filmmakers aren't.
Right. I mean, as much as I've known you've really gone into that. So I kind of wanted to hear a little bit more about that. And then I had one other thing I wanted to ask you about, which was We both actually teach at USC, and one of my things I talk about the most is how, and it's not pertinent just to USC. That comes up a lot because I'm there and you're there, but the importance of actually helping your friends in the business as opposed to going it alone.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would say one of my best skill sets is like keeping relationships going and following up with people, and then connecting people with other people that I think that can kind of help them accomplish, their dreams and goals, and if that's myself or somebody else. And so the relationship side of things has been crucial.
I mean, a lot of the directors for your movies came out of SC, and writers and everything
that I've worked with have come out of USC. I've produced for a lot of students that I've gone to school with, and so USC was obviously, USC was great in terms of, obviously we had great teachers, but also you're working with just really like-minded, incredibly talented people that you forge relationships with that you'll then work with for the rest of your career. And I am somebody who just loves working with like young people. Like I'm still young myself, but I love working with I love mentoring and I love advising to people that are just starting out, because I felt like I had such great mentors and teachers throughout my middle school, high school, and college experience that's kind of just ingrained in me. And people are like, when are you going to stop, producing first-time feature director movies? And I'm at a company now where it's like I need to make bigger films, obviously, but I still have this passion that each year I still want to do a couple of these, first-time feature director movies and work with filmmakers that are either coming out of USC or out of like the Sundance labs. And that really inspired me to eventually go and teach at USC. And so, as Sebastian mentioned, I started a class with Mike Jensen, who I went to school with, called Entrepreneurship and Entertainment. We've been teaching it for 4 years.
Entrepreneur.
Yep. It's literally about, the whole class, the theme that runs throughout the entire class in all 15 weeks is how you need to be entrepreneurial to be able to succeed at this point in the entertainment industry.
Which is you too, in the film hustle. It's all about it's hustle, but it's also just actually just doing that work and getting things started.
Understanding revenue streams, understanding what to do and how to sell it and where to sell it.
Figuring out how to put the pieces of the puzzle together in maybe a non-traditional, non-linear way,
right?
And then and how you connect things, and then realizing that every person that you meet, there may be a mutually beneficial relationship there where you can help them get something accomplished and they can help you get something accomplished, and where may they come into this particular position and on a project that you're trying to put together. And so we teach this class, and it's been amazing. Awesome. I mean, it's been one of the greatest, I would say, joys of my career is teaching.
Now, one last question. What advice would you give to a filmmaker just starting out?
I think it's literally putting yourself out there. It's putting yourself out there, and it's being entrepreneurial. You can be the most unbelievably talented and creative person, but if you don't take opportunities and put yourself out there, then it's hard to get known, and it's hard to make things happen. And that goes with being entrepreneurial as well. You've got to think outside the box. It's always about thinking outside the box. I was the one who organized all of my friends coming to Sundance when I was in film school, back 12, 13 years ago. This past year, in my class, I had out of the 35 students that I had in my class at USC, I think about half of them are coming and participating in the Sundance Ignite program, which is for 18 to 24-year-olds, and have the Ignite ticket package, and that was because I pushed them, and I think, and by the speakers that I brought in, and by kind of explaining what the value is of coming here and meeting people, they came, and so they're all coming tomorrow.
That's awesome.
And
that's awesome.
They had to come the first weekend because they were directing a film the second weekend, but. It's that's my advice. Be entrepreneurial and put yourself out there and really take on opportunities that the different nonprofit organizations within the industry.
Sheldon Candace, who directed LUV, some people call it Love. I'm not sure, is it LUV or Love?
Love.
Yeah, it's Loving Uncle Vernon.
Yes.
He said one of the best quotes I've ever heard, and he's the director, also the co-writer along with Justin Wilson. He said, "No is only no for now."
Right.
Which I just
great.
love that quote.
Yes.
No is only no for now.
Or no backwards is on.
Oh, that's I'm gonna take that one. I'm gonna steal that one. That was really good.
But that, Sheldon, yes, I love that. That's a great saying.
One of the ones I always use that I got from a producer friend of mine was show business. The word business has twice as many letters as the word show.
Yeah.
And there's a reason.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true.
And last question, what's one of your favorite films?
I would say my favorite films growing up were probably, movies like Good Will Hunting, Dead Poets Society, E.T., Jurassic Park.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor. And now back to the show.
So it was really, I would say again for me, and if I look through the themes of the films that I've produced to date, all of them have some type of coming of age component. It's really interesting. Like even the film that I did with Richard Gere, which was called The Benefactor, that was a man coming of age in his 60s. The Birth of a Nation, that's Nat Turner coming into his own. The film that we have here, Burning Sands, that's our lead character Zurich, coming of age in college. Same with The Dry Land. I mean, everything is. So I would say the coming of age component is linked to films like Dead Poets Society, Good Will Hunting, Mr. Holland's Opus, those types of movies that were very inspirational, but also had those coming of age components. And so even in films that I do now, maybe they're not full on dramas or they're not full on inspirational films, but there's that coming of age theme throughout all of them. And then there were the films that I just would love watching for escapism, Apollo 13, E.T., Jurassic Park. And, now that I've built up a name for myself within the independent film world, I now want to start going into obviously larger films while still, making independent films, but starting to be able to make films where people can just really escape into a world that they're not fully familiar with, that they're also going to learn something from. And I think that when I mentioned those films that I just did, you can see that those are perfect examples about learning about an environment, but also within being able to escape your day-to-day life.
Very cool. Jason, thank you. I know you're on a very tight schedule, so thank you for doing this for us.
This was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you so much.
Man, I really want to thank Jason for taking out the time. He was literally, we had him for about 20 minutes. He was literally jumping from screening to screening and meeting to meeting, and he really kind of jammed in us. So we really appreciate the time you put in, Jason. So thank you so much for that and for dropping some cool knowledge bombs on the tribe. So thank you again, and thank you Sebastian and Media Circus for helping us with the production of this special series. I'll leave links to both Sebastian and Media Circus in the show notes at indiefilmhustle.com/137. And by the way, guys, thank you for the amazing response I've gotten to this little series, all the messages, all the emails. I really appreciate it. And, I worked really hard to put this thing together for you guys. It was grueling. It still is grueling. I don't think I'll ever do a daily podcast series because it's just a lot of work to do all of this. But again, thank you so much. Tomorrow will hopefully be the last of the series because I'm exhausted. And then next week we'll go to our normal schedule. So thanks again, guys. And again, if you like what we're doing here at Indie Film Hustle, please share, let people know about it. Share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter, on Instagram, wherever you are. Please send it out and get the word out on what we're doing at Indie Film Hustle, man. I really, really appreciate what you guys are doing for us and spreading the word. Thank you so, so much. And if you have a moment, a good review over at iTunes helps us out a lot too. So just head over to filmmakingpodcast.com and leave us an honest review. Hopefully it's a good review. It really helps us out a lot. And thank you again for all your support. So as always, keep that hustle going. Keep that dream alive. And I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Indie Film Hustle podcast at indiefilmhustle.com. That's INDIEFILMHUSTLE.com.